Hey, I'm Perry Black. Don't turn this channel. On this show, Paul Chapman with Restore Hope and Every Child of Arkansas, Divine Connection, changing foster care right here in our state. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, we have a very special guest that's making a difference in the lives of hurting children throughout the VTN viewing audience right here in the state of Arkansas as well. Paul Chapman, good to have you today.
Thanks so much for having me, Pastor.
So good to actually have you on set, get to know you a little bit. You know, one of the great things about having a TV show, I get to meet people that oftentimes you just see from afar, you know, and get the opportunity to introduce you to the audience. Now, this show airs throughout the VTN viewing audience, which is all over the state and some of the neighboring states, but because of technology, all over the world. So next thing you know, you'll be known all over the world, Paul. How about that? You want to get known?
That'd make my mama proud.
Yeah, Mama. We got to make Mama proud. So tell me a little bit about you. This first segment's just letting the audience get to know you. So tell me about you. Where'd you grow up?
You know, I'm an Arkansas boy. My parents are both from the Delta, from Wynne and Mariana. They met and married, and Vietnam War was going on, and so my dad went to optometry school over in Memphis and then into the military.
Stop. I told you I'd interrupt you. Yeah. Wynne, Arkansas.
Yes.
You went to school there?
No, that's where my parents grew up.
Yeah, and that's where the tornado hit
sure was.
Some time ago and just devastated the high school. I saw they're tearing it down, sucked the turf. The AstroTurf off the football field. What a
back in the day when I was a kid, I can remember dove hunting across the baseball field in the Wynne High School.
I preached when I first started this ministry, my personal ministry, January of 1988. I spoke in Wynne and some of the neighboring small communities there. Just wonderful farm folks. You know, I'm from Jonesboro, so that's kind of in my general area, and grew up dove hunting. I don't know why you call it hunting. You hide from them. They fly over, you find them, don't you? I'm going to go dove finding.
Yes.
So where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Little Rock after the Vietnam War, and my dad processed out of active duty, and we landed in Little Rock.
Was he a military?
He was in the Army.
He
was an optometrist in the military for
how many years?
About 8 years, and then he did reserves for about 23 before
I'm
he
an
passed.
Army guy. Did you know I'm an Army guy?
No, I didn't know that.
Give us
all right.
Me and your dad a big big high five. Go Army.
My dad, in fact, he raised me and my wife. Me and my wife. He raised me and my brother. During the Cold War, we thought for sure there would be a war in Europe, and so that was our likely futures, was going to be go to college and then join the military service.
So did you go to college?
I did go to college at U of A up in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And
did you have a major of some kind?
I majored in finance.
Besides campusology?
Yes, I did well there, or worked bad there, but yes, finance was my major.
Yeah. And how did that degree, how does that play some role in your life and ministry now?
You know, the way that it connected to ministry was that I was working for a very large financial technology firm. It was Systematics and Alltel, and then now it's Fidelity Information Services.
That's where my son-in-law works.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I worked there for 10 years.
20 years.
And part of my journey, and I really loved that company and my journey there, but we were in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So Y2K had happened. I'd worked on the Nations Bank project to become Bank of America, and then Y2K happened, and joined a new project over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and moved my family over there. And, of course, 9/11 happened just shortly after. We moved there in February of 2001, and 9/11 happened a few months later. And so as we were considering, like much of the world was, you know, life is short, and what's important, and what are these religious claims, I ended up becoming a Christian after about a year and a half investigative journey.
Overseas? Were you still overseas?
Yes, we had come home for the birth of our third son, had moved the family back. It was getting kind of scary over there, and my wife had to have a cesarean, so we moved her back. I was finishing my contract out, was here, went to Fellowship Bible Church in Little Rock to a men's meeting they were having in the mornings called Authentic Manhood.
Oh, yeah.
And so
cool.
I went, and it was the first time I'd been around a group of Christian men who were taking religious life that seriously.
What year?
That was 2002.
Wow.
2002.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
And so I repatriated in 2003, right as the Iraq War was starting, and still worked for Fidelity, was traveling, and joined that church and started my discipleship journey.
Well, you mentioned being over there with wife and having kids and all that. How long you been married?
We've been married 30...
These are trick questions.
Yes, I know. Why'd you do that? So I'm trying to do the math.
Do you know what year you got married?
34 years.
Yeah. How many kids you got?
We've got 5.
5? Mm-hmm. I need to, you took that personal, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth.
We're giving it a shot.
I grew up in a family of 5 kids, too.
Okay.
So, and my daughter, who's in the Bryant area and attends Family Church here in Bryant, she's got 5 kids. And then I have another daughter. She only had 2.
Yeah.
She teaches school down in Texarkana. No, I think they're done. So how old are your children now?
My oldest is 26, and she's expecting. She's married, lives up in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I've got 22 and 20 and 16 and 11.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I've got 7 grandchildren. The youngest is 16, goes to Arkansas Christian Academy. The other is graduating this year. 3 have already graduated. God is just good, isn't He?
He is.
So tell me, since we're kind of getting to know you, and we're going to talk about the ministries that you're involved in foster care, but what prompted you in your search for the Lord and then finding how much He loved you and getting you born again? Tell me about that. You got a minute 38 to tell that
All
story.
Right. So when I landed in Saudi Arabia, one of the things that we did was we were configuring banking to meet Sharia law. I didn't know what that was, so I bought a Quran, and I've had several Muslim friends from a spectrum of different locations. There were also, at work, there were some atheists, some Hindus, some Mormons, and religion and politics were the 2 pieces of conversation. And I found out pretty quickly I could hold my own with politics. I had opinions and could back it up. And I thought I could with religion, and found out very quickly that the people there that I work with in that melting pot had thought much deeper than I had around it. And my friend Motez one time, he said, Paul, politics is important because it regulates our life here, the quality of life. And he says, and religion is important to study and to get right because it tells us what's going to happen after this. And so I started my study that lasted a number of years and wound up with the conclusion that Jesus was who He said He was.
Yeah. Oh, my. Well, and that's what will happen to you when you actually sincerely start looking, as I did, God, if you're there, I need help. You know what? You find out He's there. And He is there because He loves you, and He loves widows and orphans. And that's what we're going to talk about these couple of next segments, is how you can be involved in making a difference, touching the heart of God, and blessing the hearts of hurting people. We'll be right back with Paul Chapman.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, we have Paul Chapman with Restore Hope, Arkansas.
Yes, sir.
And we've had a previous guest, many months ago, that we talked briefly about Restore Hope before I met you personally. And I'm thrilled to have you on the show today.
Well, thanks so much.
Because I want people to get involved in what you're doing and what God is doing through Restore Hope, Second Chance Youth Ranch, and now the new collaboration of all ministries called
Every Child Arkansas.
Meaning we want every child in Arkansas to have a family. That's pretty simple, isn't it?
That's right.
And Dr. Gold, who's a real spearhead on that, he'll be with us next week, and we'll be getting that show done, and we look forward to that. So tell me about Restore Hope, because Restore Hope is actually quite different from the One Child Arkansas, or Every Child Arkansas.
It is. So I went from working in financial technology to working at Fellowship Bible Church and leading the missions group. And what we did there, we did some direct service involved in both child welfare and then general prison reentry and trying to help individuals prevent both of those things occurring in their families' lives.
Take care of a child. Maybe we don't have to deal with that child becoming an adult and then trying to re-enter our society after incarceration, huh? Isn't that a simple principle?
It is.
Up a child?
It's hard in application, but it is simple. So, one of the things that we were making a lot of grants, one of the things that occurred to me while we were there is we were helping individuals, and we were making grants to wonderful organizations who were helping individuals, but the system didn't change. I was in it long enough and talking to enough folks that had been there for a while, and the system didn't change. And so we became aware of a study that was first published in 2011 by the Stanford Social Innovation Review called Collective Impact. They said every community deals with these deep-seated, very complex issues, and almost none of them have system-wide impact. But those that did, all did 5 things
together.
Tell me
those. Yeah, tell me those.
And so you've got to be able to put together a group. You've got to assemble a group that agrees on a few goals. You're going to have common measurement system, constant communication, and one of the things that you have to have is you've got to have a backbone organization that supports the collective so that they can turn their collaboration into a operational execution. And so we wrote, when Governor Hutchinson took office in 2015, he had the fastest growing prison population in the nation, and then foster care had the same growth curve. And so we wrote him a paper and said, given what we know and what's out there in the collective impact literature, then if you want to attack these problems, you're going to have to do it at a community level, but each community is going to have this collective impact initiative. They've got to put together what we call an alliance.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Pick up on alliance now. So you're insinuating there might be a connection between incarceration and foster care?
No doubt. There's even a connection in, you've got misdemeanor courts. If you get a traffic ticket right now in Arkansas and you don't pay and you don't show up for court, then we're going to suspend your driver's license. Many people who are poor and are struggling with substance abuse and other issues right now, but they're not felony level, they're not serious, they don't have a child welfare case, will have a suspended driver's license in a misdemeanor court. And so we can find them and engage them. In fact, we're doing that in many communities right now.
Lord,
and offer them a way out of their current situation that prevents future bad things happening, like foster care and incarceration. So yes, it's all tied together. In fact, you can see in our client mix, which we served just over 2,000 families last year in Arkansas. Half didn't, when we met them, half did not have an legal income source of any kind. Half were couch surfing or at risk of homelessness. And then just over 40% did not have a high school diploma or GED. And so there are organizations in every community of any size in the state of Arkansas that are currently providing all those things. Substance abuse, housing, education.
But all individually.
And they're all working in their own silos. It is the complexity of the way that we operate our social services, whether that be public or private, that is the barrier that Restore Hope now addresses. We have a software system and a model that helps a community take care of, it's for the community, by the community. With this model and software system, now you can actually tie all of those different organizations.
Because you said there were all these different needs, but the system never changed. Right. See, government has a tendency to just throw money at the problem, but the system sometimes, am I going to step on something? The system's the problem sometimes.
And the money will go to a silo.
Yeah.
And not saying that you couldn't do good in the silo, but what one of the analogies I always thought of is when we were doing direct service, we would help someone, but I always viewed it as a rocket. The goal was that rocket needs to make orbit where it just is able to sustain its altitude. But oftentimes what we would do is we would help someone with a temporary housing program, and then we get them a job, and they were sober right now, but then they'd move out, and there wasn't enough fuel in the rocket. And so we had a program that was time-bound or location-bound, but didn't go with the person, helping them make that full journey and obtain orbit.
Support. A support system and a support network. And we find that collaboration is the key, isn't it?
It is.
We know that John Maxwell in his book on leadership talked about one animal could pull 1,500 pounds, two animals could pull 7,500 pounds or something like that, an extraordinary amount.
Right.
And as I've said in previous shows, Ronald Reagan said, it's amazing how much can be accomplished and nobody cares who gets the credit. But we all, it's a human selfish thing really, but we're all protective of our silo.
Yes.
We need to be connected because there's strength. And we're working with Jerry Cox in the crisis pregnancy centers, and Sharice Dean on how they can bring all those pregnancy centers together, bringing all the children's foster care ministries together, because there's things that work in one community that somebody innovated and somebody else never thought of.
That's right.
That's power in that, isn't there?
To look at a proof, Fort Smith had the worst issues both in incarceration and in foster care back in 2016 when we got started. And to look at them now, they've dropped crime 3 years in a row, incarceration in their jails down by 30%. In fact, we wrote about this in a magazine that we publish semi-annually. It's called Smart Justice. But there's a whole section in the first issue of that magazine that was dedicated to what happened in Fort Smith. Foster care is down 38%. Just by being able to work together and operationalize what's there. Now the innovation is taking place within the police department or in the courts. They're doing very neat things in misdemeanor courts and in specialty courts.
Well, there's a phrase, I have all kinds of periphrases. You've heard this, iron sharpens iron. And when you get sharp people together, sparks fly and great things can happen. We want you to be involved in Restore Hope, Every Child Arkansas, and Second Chance Youth Ranch, and ministries involved in fostering, mentoring, and adopting. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Tell me what you're going to do Saturday.
I'm go skating and do tricks.
How do you feel about that?
Not good. I might fall down. I'm Aaron, I'm 10.
And what do you like to do for fun, Aaron?
Football and basketball and soccer. I'll grow up, I want to be a basketball player.
What is your favorite subject in school?
Math and science. My favorite food is rice.
Gotta look at him.
You got some moves, man.
Make it go between your legs.
I want to be Spider-Man. I want to shoot webs.
Why do you want to shoot webs?
Because when I have villains, super villains, I can't wait to be adopted.
Why?
Because I want to go deer hunting, go duck hunting, and turkey hunting, go bowling, and play shooting. Is this too small?
No, you're the perfect size.
Watch me.
I'm watching. What kind of family do you want?
Mom and Dad and Grandma, and Papa. I want a dog and a cat.
What do you want them to know about you, though?
I just want them to love on me. I just want to get adopted. I want to be Superman. I want to fly.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Our special guest, Paul Chapman with Restore Hope, and Every Child Arkansas has made a divine connection with you and your ministry with Dr. Phil Gold. And I'm excited about hearing more about that. So let's kind of turn the page and go over to Every Child Arkansas, because with our new governor, Governor Sanders, and the collaboration of Every Child Arkansas connecting with Restore Hope and all foster care agencies and DCFS, I don't mind telling you, I think God's doing something in Arkansas.
I think you're right.
You know, what I love, and I've said this to different people in the conference room at the state capitol, that Arkansas is a small enough state we can turn this canoe.
You bet.
And be an example to the big cruise ship states like California, New York, Illinois, etc. Mm-hmm. And so tell us, what is going on in Arkansas with Every Child?
So Every Child Arkansas is a network of agencies and organizations and faith-based organizations and individuals to get more than enough in every county in Arkansas for children and families before, during, and beyond foster care. And so it's this collection right now of 27 different organizations who have signed pledging to each other to act in a way to work at the community level in just that way.
Because we're not in competition.
We are not in competition. We're all for strong, healthy families and to reunite families when it's safe and appropriate.
Yeah. George Patton, the general, he said you take the enemy by the nose and kick him in the pants. Now, General Patton maybe used a little more flowery language than that.
Yes, I think he also, the quote that we use around the office that's attributed to him was, a good plan executed violently today is better than a perfect plan next week.
Yeah, that's a fact. And this plan has come together, and the governor and the legislature, they've all bought into this collaborative effort to resolve and solve the foster care crisis in Arkansas. So tell us some more about how this collaboration is working and where we're going and how we're going to get there so that every child can have a family, for goodness sakes.
Well, you know, it started for me about 2 years ago when Dr. Phil Goad called me and wanted to know about, he's been a longtime CASA volunteer, been on the board of Christian Alliance for Orphans, and very involved in some of the local ministries that we all know and love here in Arkansas. And he was trying to understand this collective impact theory and way of executing, knowing that everyone operates in silos, and being able to pull folks together was the way forward. And we had done that for biological families, for parents, and he wanted to know what we could do to actually bring together recruitment and care for foster families. Yeah. And so I met with Phil weekly at least, as this was really, Every Child was his vision and behind his kind of effort to get it launched. But what now exists through the effort started by Dr. Phil Goad and now by many other organizations like Second Chance Youth Ranch, The Call, Sparrow's Promise out in Searcy, and Fostering Love and Fostering Hope. And so we've all come together and launched a new website that if you want to get involved in child welfare in Arkansas, you go to everychildarkansas.org, and you can find a way to volunteer or to become a foster family in your own community. And
every child in and of itself is not about itself.
No.
It's about, you come to that website and it's going to connect you with ministries in your community. I met Dr. Goad when we dedicated our new pregnancy crisis center, and one of our girls just had her baby 2 weeks ago, precious little baby that's been saved now. And that young lady introduced me to her precious baby just about, not even a week ago. And I met Dr. Goad there, standing very quietly, humbly, had a baseball hat on, stood and talked to me for about 20 minutes and asked me about the ranch and what I thought about collaborating together. And we just visited. I just thought he was a supporter there. And when he left, Rachel Hubbard, my director of operations at Second Chance Youth Ranch, she said, "Oh, did you meet Dr. Goad?" I said, "No, I don't know that I did. I met a guy out front named Phil." And so I share that because that's the individual that God is using to establish this phenomenal collaboration of all of our ministries called Every Child Arkansas. So it's not about him.
That's right.
It's about the kids.
It is about the kids and the
And
families in Arkansas.
the system of how we can innovate new things to recruit and train, support, and this is the key, isn't it? Retain.
Yes.
Got to keep our foster parents.
Yeah, so we only had a retention rate of about 40% of foster families last year.
Yeah.
And some of that was due to adoptions, which is a good reason
that's good.
to close a home. But most of it was not. It was, burnout. Bad situations, and other negative kind of experiences that they may have had.
So we've got to work on this system. And again, the collaboration of the leadership is so key to the grassroots success of the individual foster family. My mom and dad were foster parents when I was little, and I lived at the Methodist home, so my life experience is both foster care and group care, which is a misnomer now. Mm-hmm. And but I bring that life experience to it. But my mother didn't have really a support network. I don't remember ever seeing a counselor. It was the local welfare worker who became great friends with my mom because we were the place kids came in the middle of the night. But we and other organizations have developed now the case managers along with case workers, our clinical staff, but being able to rub elbows with other directors and other leaders in this field of foster care. We got a minute and a half. What would you tell anybody right there at camera 3? What would you tell anybody that's even thinking about fostering? How can they find out more information, Paul?
Yeah, I would say first, if you're in Arkansas, go to Every Child Arkansas, and it'll ask you for some demographic data, and it will plug you in with organizations in your community. If you don't know anything about fostering, then my recommendation would be connect with an organization in your community and get involved in some way. Become friends with them, serve. You will get introduced into the environment in which you can now make good choices for you and your family as to how far in that environment you want to go. Fostering is one of the things that I think takes what your mom had, you and your family had, which is you have to be ready for that kind of sacrificial love and engagement, realizing that it's very, very hard. And you should make sure that you're doing that with the proper support system. Yeah. So take your journey in. Yeah. And then if you're here in this area, one of the best that's doing it is Second Chance Ranch. Being able to be involved and even serving with the ranch would be, I couldn't recommend that more.
Yeah. So there's someone somewhere just like you looking for a place to connect and changing hearts and lives of children. And if you need more information, contact us right here at 2CYR-TV, and we'll let you know. God bless you. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye.